Good morning, everybody. We're here at Briones Regional Park on a smoky but otherwise nice Thursday morning. And I'm standing here next to a very nice individual of Quercus douglasii in the Fagaceae. This is the blue oak, and it's called blue oak because especially the top side of these leaves, in certain kinds of light, maybe not now in the kind of smoky light, has a kind of a bluish green cast to it. And sometimes when you're looking at a hillside and there's blue oaks growing together with coast live oaks, this bluish color is really obvious. So this is our first white oak that we're learning. And when I say white oak, I'm referring to a lineage of oaks that lives in North America and Europe. And white oaks have several characteristics that I'm going to tell you right now. White oaks have acorns that have warty protuberances on the caps. So you can check that out on this particular individual. White oaks have leaves that on the underside of the leaves, it's kind of a matte finish. It's definitely not glossy. And it is usually kind of a pale green, kind of a pale bluish green. And if you're looking at this underside of a blue oak leaf, try to think back to what a coast live oak underside of the leaf looks like, with that really glossy green that reflects light. This is more matte, doesn't reflect light, and it's also different from Quercus chrysolepis, which we've learned that, remember, has that kind of powdery white stuff or yellow stuff on the underside. Okay? All right, so those are white oaks. White oaks have this matte, kind of pale green underside. They have warty acorn cups. And the other thing that white oaks have are on the leaves, when they're, if they're lobed, they don't have spine-tipped lobes. So not like your Quercus agrifolia. Remember those kind of spines at the veins at the margin of the leaf? So you don't see that. You see instead kind of more of a blunt lobe. To identify blue oak, though, the lobing is pretty distinctive. Blue oaks can be entire, like this leaf here, but usually what you see are really shallow lobes. And the sinuses, and the sinus refers to the gap between lobes, doesn't extend to more than half of the leaf. So it's usually on the outer third of the leaf is what the typical blue oak leaf looks like. Blue oaks are deciduous, and they'll start losing their leaves now. And if you come back here in January, you'll see no leaves at all on this tree. And what else? Bark. Bark is a good character for blue oaks, and actually you could, Isaac, look at that tree there is a nice, from that distance, nice. They have kind of grayish, light-colored bark that has thin furrows. And the way I like to compare blue oak bark to valley oak bark, and valley oak is an oak we're going to learn today as well, is imagine that you're Godzilla, and imagine that your claws need sharpening. And if you're Godzilla and you're going to sharpen your claws in this blue oak, what's going to happen is that bark is going to get caught underneath your fingernails, and it's going to be a very unpleasant feeling. So this is not the tree that Godzilla wants to sharpen his claws on. And keep that in your mind when we see the valley oak bark. These vertical furrows can sometimes be very characteristic and look like actually sort of stripes that go up into the canopy of the tree. When you look up into the branches, you often see kind of a shagginess to the bark. Again, usually gray or white. This particular individual has got a lot of lichen on it, so it's hard to see. Like many of the California oaks, the acorns were very important to people, and people collect blue oak acorns. They store them in granaries. They pound them into paste, and they leach them with water to get the tannins out and make an acorn flour that they make soup or bread. Many other animals like blue oak acorns as well, and are very important for the vertebrates that live in this community. And what we're at here at Briones, a large part of this park is actually an oak woodland, and oaks are very dominant in coastal California, especially in these low hills towards the coast and in the foothills of the Sierras. You get areas that are very dominated by oaks. Rio, come here. All right, so to sum up, blue oak has leaves that have shallow lobes that are rather irregular. No two leaf is usually identical, and some of them can be even entire. The underside of the leaf is a pale green that doesn't reflect light. It's a matte surface. It has thin bark in vertical furrows that's usually light colored, and it's a deciduous tree. Oh yeah, there's more to talk about blue oak. Where does it live? Yeah, you're still recording, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Where does blue oak live? Blue oak is endemic to California, and it lives in kind of a ring around the Central Valley. It lives, into probably Mendocino County, I'm going to guess, is its northern limit. It starts getting replaced by Gary oak. And then it's very common here in the Bay Area. It's very common in the foothills of the Sierras down into Southern California. And blue oak likes to be found generally on hillsides. So when if you're in a park like Briones and you're seeing a lot of valley oaks, the valley oaks are usually below the blue oaks. They're usually kind of in the valley bottoms, and we'll talk about that later when we talk about valley oaks. Now, that doesn't mean that every single valley oak is going to be above, always below every single blue oak. There's going to be some messiness in the range, but generally, valley oaks like deeper soils, flatter ground, and blue oaks like hillsides and slopes. And then as you keep going up in elevation, like if you're in the Sierras or even in a very tall hill here in the Bay Area, you'll start finding blue oaks getting replaced by California black oaks. So blue oaks like the low hillsides, and they're really common here in the East Bay on this side of the Berkeley Hills. You don't usually find blue oaks on the west side of the Berkeley Hills. All right, we got some people here, so I'm going to cut it off now. I'll probably talk more about blue oaks and valley oaks when we talk about valley oak.